I don't want to ever go and see something in the cinema or in the theatre that I don't come out of feeling different.
Different.
He invented the blooming Christmas
Because somebody had to. It's like the spoon, isn't it? Somebody had to invent it at one point.
Exactly.
The Chris Evans Breakfast Show with Sky
Emma Thompson!
Oh my God, I think I'm going to have to go back to bed now. You're all so bright and awake.
All right, Jim's Spectacular Christmas. Every Tuesday here, up until Christmas, with 10 Tuesdays to go, we celebrate Christmas full on. So every Tuesday's a Christmas show. That's that's how we roll.
That's nice.
Okay, Emma. And Jim's Spectacular Christmas, this book by Emma Thompson and Axel Scheffler, rather, the renowned Axel Scheffler, should get his name right, is perfect for us. So I want this story to be real. It sort of is a bit, isn't it?
It is sort of a bit real.
Yeah.
Because it's about a dog who did live at the V&A. So Henry Cole, who ran the V&A for Prince Albert, who was very cool dude. I mean, he built that whole thing and was so fierce on getting everyone in to, for instance, the Great Exhibition. He was the one who set up the shilling days or the pennies or whatever it was when folk could bust in from all parts of the country. I mean, he was very sort of civic-minded. I think he must have been rather wonderful. Anyway, Henry Cole was his sort of amanuensis in the V&A, and he had a dog called Jim who went with him everywhere. And of course, because the V&A's loads of different buildings that were built over many decades, really, miles, you could walk for miles. And this little dog was sketched by his master, Henry Cole, who must have been a very nice man. You can tell by the way in which he drew his dog. And Henry Cole invented the Christmas card.
Is that true?
Yes, it's true.
Because I know that's in the story, but is that actually what happened?
That's actually what happened. He invented the blooming Christmas card.
Because somebody had to, because you don't...
No,
it's like the spoon, isn't it? Somebody had to invent it at one point.
Exactly. Christmas was sort of invented by the Victorians, and then the Norwegians sent us trees, and that was it. We were off to the races,
Charles Dickens had a lot to do with the sort of the quickening of that whole process.
He did. And there's quite a lot, because I love Dickens. I expect I was highly influenced, because Jim was once used as a chimney sweeping brush. He was attached to the end of a broomstick.
And that's true as well.
No, that's not true. I made that up.
You don't. But the thing about being in charge of the V&A, it's fine to be in charge of it anyhow. And there've been there'll always be illustrious people, hopefully, in charge of the V&A. Thank heaven for that.
Yes.
But to be the man whose idea it was, and then be in charge of it, entirely different kettle of fish going on there.
Yeah.
And the boss is still alive, who it's named after, and so's his missus.
Yes, I've just been signing books for all Henry Cole's great-grandchildren as well.
Crazy, eh?
So amazing.
All right, so Poetic License has to nip in. Dogs don't wear monocles. Well, they might do.
No, they don't generally read avidly either.
How much... Sorry, jump to the monocle. Well, we don't know. I mean, the thing is... We don't know any of these things, do we?
No, and basically, I suddenly realised when I was looking at it, it's actually about canine conscience. The dog, the conscience of the dog.
Consciousness or conscience?
Conscience.
Right.
Because he does something that makes him feel guilty.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
So it's about guilt.
Which
of course, is what Christmas is all about. Christmas is all about guilt. The guilt present, the guilt gift, the fact that you feel guilty because you're not with your parents, auntie, siblings, whoever. Christmas is just a time that's absolutely built for guilt.
Yeah, and dogs can't have guilt because they don't have the frontal temporal thing
But they do have guilt. I mean, that they have guilt. Because think of what you do if you say... whatever your dog's name is, Tristram.
Sparkle.
Sparkle. And you say Sparkle, and you say it in that voice, and Sparkle will look at you, and that dog will give you a guilty look. Come on, you cannot deny it. Dogs definitely know when they've done something wrong.
Sparkle doesn't know she's a dog because nobody's told her.
So she doesn't do
any of the dog stuff. No, she thinks she's a yoga teacher.
Oh.
Well, I think she thinks she's a yoga teacher.
Well, any dog makes a good yoga teacher, actually.
Yeah. And even though it's a picture book, there are more words than pictures. It's just an observation. It's not. It's a proper book. It's a proper book with a proper story.
Yeah.
Because you've written things before, haven't you?
I have.
So Vassar says you have 2 Academy Awards, but only one for acting.
Only one for acting.
The other one doesn't really count.
No, that's right. It's for the writer. Yeah. Classically and traditionally ignored, roundly.
When you, having written a 9 year, it took you 9 years to write that screenplay, didn't it?
Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah.
5.
5. Sorry.
Oddly enough, Nanny McPhee was the one that took 9 years door to door.
Okay, well,
weirdly.
we're talking years for any pick
Years,
a
for any good
screenplay,
screenplay.
many years.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that heavy lifting, that getting out of your comfort zone, the hard choices that give you the easier navigation. When you sit down to write something like this, I'm sure you give it as much attention. Of course you do, because it wouldn't work otherwise. It wouldn't play otherwise.
No.
But does those marathons get you ready for these park runs?
Yes, they really do. Because writing something like Jim, it's first of all, it's much shorter. It's not, but you've got to think of a story. But there's something very, I find it very therapeutic actually, because you're thinking make it as simple as possible, but at the same time, the language has got to really land. Yeah, and that's what takes the time. So I always go, if I'm writing something for children, generally speaking, I go and do it in Scotland. Because it's quiet.
Oh, you've told me about your Scottish place before.
Yeah,
You've
well,
had
Mum's
that forever,
place.
haven't you? Yeah.
Yes, well, mum and dad bought it when I was about 13.
Is it a flat?
No, it's a little kind of crofty things, but there's been a dwelling there for hundreds of years.
Right.
Yeah, so it's barns and a wee cottage.
Yeah.
When you talk about the sort of books that Jim likes reading, and he had, what was it, a healthily terrified attitude to poetry.
That's right. Yes, absolutely. It's a bit like me, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite frightened
But
of
there's
poetry.
that beautiful list, and Mary read it through twice. She said, "Dad, listen to this." And she's only 8. But she I mean, I thought, well, that's one of the jokes that you put in for the grown-ups. And the kids won't get it. Like Peppa Pig, it's on 2 levels. But no, the kids absolutely loved it.
Hang on, let's ask that question. Because that's from us reading and watching.
Yeah.
This 2-level thing, surely that would be a fatal mistake. It's 1 level that we all get, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's my dad. That's the magic roundabout. I was brought up by somebody who said, you cannot talk down to children. Why would you do that? I mean, he'd meet a baby and shake its hand and go, hello, how nice to meet you. And was quite forthright and firm with children. And said, in the magic roundabout, he used to use phrases like hoist with your own petard, which nobody knew what it meant, but then they could find out. And I don't know if I've told you this story, but once he got a letter from a mum saying, my child has just called his sister a mollusk, how dare you use it? And then he went back to her and said, you know what a mollusk is, and explained it, but then looked up all the longest words he could find in the OED and included them, because people didn't like him using grown-up words in a programme that was purportedly for children. But I was brought up with that, and that's so true. It's like 1 level that has to work for all of us. That's what Nanny McPhee is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And Matilda, actually. Or Matilda's strong stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, no, by the way, congratulations on that film that opened the British London Film Festival.
I didn't mean to slide that in a sort of evil way. I actually didn't. I was
you didn't at all.
Seriously thinking about Dahl and his genius, actually.
You look, if you sow enough seeds in the right field and you look after them, you might be all right for life, as far as homegrown food is concerned. Yeah. I'm saying to you, Emma, that because you have done so much good with the opportunities you've been given, you now are really sort of reaping the rewards. But rewards is the wrong word. Do you know what I mean? You're reaping the re-opportunities of it. And do you find yourself steeped in all this wonder?
Yes, I do. I'm 63 now, and I find that things that I've been thinking about since I was very young, 19, are sort of coming back full circle, and I'm thinking about them in different ways and then bring them out in work in different ways. So there's circles coming round. It's really interesting if you're lucky enough to live as long.
A couple of lifetimes in a way.
It is. And then you get a chance to connect with a new generation. I can connect with 2 generations now, and that's a wonderful feeling. That interconnection between generations is something that we really need to make so much part of our culture, of our everyday. It's vitally important. I
That's
think.
Thich Nhat Hanh says. He talked. Well, he just passed on, hasn't he? But he's always talked about we are not human beings; we're human beings.
Yes.
Because it's interconnection, not just with grown-ups and kids, but we interbe with everything and everyone. And the fact that you think you don't is going to make your day a lot harder. And if you consider that you are, it's going to make your day a lot not easier, but a lot more easy to comprehend.
Yeah, and often, You know what it's like. You come out, just smile at somebody or have a chat with somebody and you feel better immediately. Instantly. You know, we are all connected. Of course we're all connected. But, you know, it's our systems that try to keep us apart because it's easier to sell stuff to us.
Yeah, what about this? Every time you say yes to something, you say no to many, many other things. It's called opportunity cost, you know. And because you now have this embarrassment, forgive all these phrases, they're very clumsy, an embarrassment of riches to pick from. If you pick the wrong one, you know, it'll still probably turn out all right because you're involved with it, if not better than that. But how do you decide which you know, high-hanging fruit to choose nowadays?
Because you always know. You just know.
Is there a rule to that we can nick?
Well, there's a great playwright called Stephen Jeffries who was married to my best mate. He died 4 years ago. And he had this list of things about taking a job. And it was quite sensible, actually, because it was, where is it? Do you have to go somewhere? Do you have to go away? But you've got to work out whether that's right or not with his family and all of that. Like, for instance, at the moment, I'm the middle generation. I've got mum on one hand, 90, Parkinson's, wonderful to be with, just wonderful. And my daughter's 22, so, you know, that's in between generations and you're looking both ways, you know, very January. And really like spending time with my children and with my mum and with, I mean, Greg obviously, but he would come with me. So that's one thing. Then are you going to get paid enough for it? Is the money right? If you're earning in the theatre or something like that, it costs you more. You know, my sister's done a play in Nottingham and her rent was just massive. So sometimes it costs you money to do a job. That's happened to me. Late night, for instance.
That doesn't mean a no, but it's a consideration.
It doesn't mean a no. It's just what things to consider. Then how much does it mean? Meaning, for me, now that's sort of everything.
Yeah.
What does it really mean? And particularly now because of the perma crisis, thank you so much, Collins, you know, I feel like our job as performers is to uplift as much as we can. Really not make things that are pointlessly jolly, but make things that really do get into our humanity and the best things, the things that help us survive and help us be happy. And that's all interconnection. Yeah. I don't want to ever go and see something in the cinema or in the theatre that I don't come out of feeling different. I need to feel different. And generally speaking, I want to feel better. That's my sort of...
Or more useful.
Or more useful, or inspired.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to feel outraged with nothing, nowhere to go. I don't want to feel depressed because I've watched something terrible happen to people and there's nothing I can do about it.
Which is the news cycle.
Really,
sometimes,
an awful lot of dystopia, which we understand.
Yeah, knowing about it isn't necessarily doing anything about it.
No.
Better to know very little about something and do a lot about it than know a lot about things and do hardly anything.
I think that's a very good way of thinking about it.
So what do you want Jim's Spectacular Christmas to do?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I think it's a nice thing to read. I think it would be nice if people looked at their dogs differently. It's a cosy story. That's what it is. It's something to make you feel cosy at Christmas time, thinking about family and thinking about, you know, Christmas cards. Are they a good thing or are they not now? I don't send them anymore because I feel a bit guilty about them.
We don't do presents anymore. We do presents for the kids, but we don't do presents for the grown-ups.
We don't either. We've just stopped because we've got too much stuff anyway.
You know, it's really funny. We played it the other day on the radio.
What?
Because we always buy each other presents.
Yeah.
The virtual giving of presents is the best thing ever. What I was going to get you was, I'm going, no way, I would have loved that. What I was going to get you is the funniest game but you've got to mean it.
Or on the radio, you can say, and here is your Ferrari. That's lovely. Gosh, it's so big, isn't it? It's taken up so much space in this studio. Do you know what I mean?
Emma, great to see you.
Lovely to see you
Thanks
guys.
for everything.
No, not at all.
Everything. Jim's Spectacular Christmas is out now. Emma Thompson and Axel Scheffler, and it's absolutely awesome. Gotta go. Have we got any bye-byes?
Bye.
No.
Bye. Bye.
Here's the real bye-byes. Oh!